Hey guys, this is Dan with Gears and Gadgets. Thanks for tuning in, back with another video a day until this channel hits 100K. I am super geeked on this video, and I know you're thinking, it's a U-Haul trailer, how could you be that excited? Well, this is why. This is U-Haul's new toy hauler trailer. Now, I live in Phoenix, and if you're not aware, U-Haul is actually based out of Tempe here, and they manufacture all of these trailers locally, and I have yet to be able to find any of these in town. That changed today when I found one that I was able to grab. So I actually picked this up for a few days, and I have a few videos coming up that I'm going to be doing with my 2024 GMC Sierra, where I want to do some tow testing, and I'll kind of haul around that Razor that I have currently in my garage now. But I wanted to take the time to do a dedicated video on this toy hauler and just share why I am so excited about this trailer in particular. I am a huge fan of U-Haul for the fact that they rent trailers that you can tow behind the trucks that you own yourself, and I have rented a ton of these things, especially with the channel here. I find myself just towing a bunch of random things. Now for me, I don't have enough space at my home to store a trailer, so if I went out and bought one, I would have to pay to store it somewhere else. That could cost a couple $100, if not more, a month to store a trailer somewhere else, and it just becomes economically ridiculous to own a trailer for a lot of people like me. So this toy hauler is the perfect trailer for pretty much anything you need to tow. Now, what makes this trailer unique to the other trailers that they have, first of all, it is a higher decked trailer, and you have these stepped bedsides here, or wheel wells. So a big problem with the auto haulers, which there's quite a few problems, is that if you pulled anything up on top of the auto hauler, the wheel wells themselves, the arches were so high that you would just kind of ding the door into the side of them. These being stepped are going to create so much more space.
You like guacamole?
So that when you pull it up, you can actually open the door and not smash it up. But even the way that they designed this, with these being angled out, if you have a low profile tire, what you would really worry about is getting the tire or the wheel to actually hit the aluminum here, which you wouldn't want because that would damage the wheel. So having this at an angle like that means that the rubber of your tire might hit here and it's going to compress, but because it pulls away this way, you should still look out for it. I would highly recommend, if you're talking like a super low profile tire, to watch the edges of the wheel. But the design of this was really, really smart. And U-Haul does call these drive over fenders, so you are able to drive over them. I know some of the other vehicles, they say like not a step, all that kind of stuff, but these are drive over fenders. Pretty cool. U-Hauls with the car haulers are 2 channels, so the width of the vehicle has to match. It was always fine for me. I never had any vehicles that couldn't fit there, but the problem with that is if you had a low vehicle, there was an extra lip, and that lip would actually prevent a lot of people who were towing around cars. People would have problems with those just basically dragging bumpers. Now, a decision that U-Haul made, which I find to be really fascinating, is that they also put 3 ramps in this trailer. And I saw somebody question, and I don't even know where I saw the question, why would you have a center ramp? I know a lot of people are going to say that makes no sense. It makes all the sense in the world. I have done enough videos on this channel reviewing the Slingshot. The Slingshot is a 3-wheeled vehicle. So with this whole setup, I just measured it out, you actually have 6 foot 3 inches between the lowest part of these wheel arches. The Slingshot is 6 foot 5, so 2 inches. You would have basically the slightest amount of rubbing to get this thing through, but I believe you'd be able to get a Slingshot up on here. You can also load 4-wheeler up that way, 4-wheeler up this way, and that makes it so much more versatile. And that's a decision that they made to add that cost of that 3rd ramp, and I think it was a brilliant decision. Now, it is interesting how they've done these ramps. There is no pull this out and have it latch up over this lip, so you are going to have a little bit of kind of hitting the throttle to get it up over top of that lip. That could be an issue with some other cars maybe, but enough wood or whatever can certainly make that no problem. And then just going through this whole trailer, there's so many tie-down points. You got rings here, ring, rings all the way around. So many spots to tie down the vehicle. It's crazy. Did they weld this shut? U-Haul loves to weld these things closed. They did, so you can't move that chain, which is super U-Haul-y because people love to steal everything that isn't welded down or bolted down. I was actually interested to know if you'd be able to tie down in these holes here, if that was part of that design, but it does not appear as if that is the case. But I also don't think it needs to be the case because they've really covered all of the areas for tie downs. They also have a chain conveniently stored down in here, which is nice because with the car hauler, those chains tend to be kind of like strung across the trailer, and you know, people forget about them. We've got a couple other pockets in here, which I believe, actually not entirely, oh, there we go. Yeah, those are like 2x4 slots. So you'd be able to put something in there if you wanted to block something up. Let me know in the comments down below, what would you use a 2x4 slot there for? I also like how they've got these, man, it almost looks like they just blew a shotgun through there, but these are all stamped out. They're actually pretty sharp. So nice and grippy for wheel traction. They've of course got their loading and securing instructions, all that stuff, load lines. The empty trailer weight, 3,155 pounds, maximum cargo weight, 6,845. So this thing can haul quite a bit of weight. You've got a 10,000 pound weight limit, which is higher than what the car hauler was. I don't remember how much higher. And then I was also really impressed. Hooking this whole thing up, I was like, man, this whole thing is just much more stout than any of the other U-Haul trailers that I've ever looked at before, and I've rented a lot of these things. It just, everything appears to be built more stout than the other trailers, and it just seems like a tank. You of course have the surge brakes here. You don't have electric brakes, which really sucks. I wish that they had an electric brake option for the U-Haul trailers, but I understand they don't do that because a lot of people don't have that, and it's just, this is the fail-proof way to make sure that every single person that hooks up to a trailer has some form of brakes with the surge brakes, and that kind of is what it is. Of course, you've also got your emergency brake cable there, so if it comes unhooked, that will engage and lock up those brakes. I always use the WaySafe hitches. I've been using this WaySafe hitch for years and years and years and years now. This thing is pretty well beat up, but it has held up really good. But I love the WaySafe hitch because when you're hooking up to a bunch of random trailers that you don't own, it is really nice to be able to see what the tongue weight is. This trailer is of course unloaded, so there's not really a whole lot of tongue weight on the truck right now at all. This thing is sitting on some actually fairly large tires, 225/75 R15s, good sized tires, and of course just the most rigid of leaf spring suspension you could possibly have, because these trailers over the years, and I don't know what their service life is out of one of these trailers. I would love to ask U-Haul what they anticipate in terms of how many years of service they get out of these things, but they are so overbuilt for pretty much anybody anywhere doing something that they're not supposed to do with it. I would love to see these things in the production facility. So I know it's probably weird to get super excited about a U-Haul trailer, a trailer you don't even own yourself. But as somebody who just utilizes the absolute snot out of these things, I find U-Haul trailers to be the most versatile way to haul just a whole bunch of different things that you don't have to worry about actually owning, maintaining, insuring, all of those things with a trailer yourself, especially if you're just towing a bunch of random things. I could actually argue that if you own a side-by-side and you only take it out once a month, you're probably better off to just rent a trailer unless you have a large enough property to store it yourself. I just know a ton of people out there that are constantly worried about their trailers getting stolen, all kinds of things. And U-Haul, it's not a problem. This trailer, I spent $86, I believe, per day. I picked this up for a few days because I'm going to make a few videos with this trailer on some other things not necessarily related to this trailer, but I am going to use it for those purposes. And I was just so overly excited, some might say way too excited, when I found out that they had made this announcement that this trailer was even a thing, and I just find it to be super rad. So let me know in the comments down below, do you get absolutely geeked out about ridiculous nonsense like this? Because I guess it's why I have a YouTube channel. I just love sharing cool stuff, and I think this is pretty cool stuff. So with that being said, thank you guys very much for tuning in. If this is your first time tuning in, please hit that subscribe button down below. Remember, likes go a long way to help support the channel. I will see you guys tomorrow.